Take a slow breath. Let your body become still. Let the noise of the outside world fall away for a moment. Your aura is not something mysterious or distant. It is the emotional and mental climate you carry with you at every moment. Every thought you repeat, every emotion you hold on to, every reaction you fall back on leaves an imprint. Over time, these imprints gather weight. They drain your energy. They make you feel exhausted even when you have rested. When your aura is heavy, life feels more difficult than it needs to be. When it is clear, things begin to move with less resistance. Your aura mirrors your thoughts, emotions, and habitual reactions long before it reflects your intentions or words. It is the quiet language you communicate to life without realizing it. Moment by moment, your inner state shapes the quality of energy you carry, and that energy gently influences how you move through the world. Many people believe life acts upon them from the outside. In truth, life responds tough, inner atmosphere they bring with them. The mind sets the foundation, the heart its tone. Repeated reactions give it structure. A single thought may seem insignificant, but repeated thoughts form patterns. Patterns slowly become identity. When the mind consistently leans toward fear, comparison, resentment, or impatience, the aura becomes dense and heavy. The shiviness is rarely caused by dramatic events alone. It comes from everyday mental habits that pass unnoticed. The meaning you assign to delays, the assumptions you'll make about silence, the story you quietly repeat about yourself. All of these shape your energetic presence. Over time, this presence becomes familiar, even when it feels uncomfortable. Emotions deepen this imprint. Thoughts move quickly, but emotions remain. An emotion that is felt and allowed passes through like a wave. An emotion that is resisted stays behind like a shadow. Many people carry years of unexpressed grief, frustration, or disappointment without knowing it. These emotions do not fade simply because they settle into the background energy of daily life. This is why some feel drained without physical cause, or restless when nothing appears wrong. Their aura is crowded with unresolved emotional residue. Daily reactions form the final layer. How you respond to stress, criticism, uncertainty, and change leaves a strong, energetic trace. Reactions repeated often now stop being conscious choices and become automatic responses. Automatic crispiness require no awareness, and what lacks awareness tends to accumulate. A sharp reaction held in the body, a defensive thought repeated silently. A moment of impatience dismissed, all of these add subtle weight. This weight is not punishment. It is unprocessed energy asking to be seen. Your aura is not fixed. It is fluid, constantly adjusting to what you think, feel, and how you react. This means small changes matter. One moment of awareness can break an old pattern. Noticing a thought without engaging it slightly lightens the field. Allowing an emotion without labeling it creates space. Pausing before reacting shifts direction of energy. These actions are quiet but powerful because they change your source rather than the surface. Many people try to change their external lives while carrying the same intent. When nothing improves, confusion and frustration arise. They don't realize that the same energy produces the same outcomes. The aura does not respond to hope, or it reflects consistency. What you repeatedly feed your inner world becomes the environment you live within. That environment influences your decisions, your tone, your posture, and even your sense of timing. Clearing the aura begins with responsibility, not blame, but awareness. You are not responsible for every thought that appears. but you are responsible for which one suit. You are not at fault for emotions that arise, but you are responsible for whether they are felt or suppressed. You may not control every situation, but you'll always influence how you respond. Within this responsibility exists freedom, because anything shaped can be reshaped. As thoughts soften, emotions are allowed, and reactions slow. The aura, internal friction decreases. Noise fades. Resistance dissolves. Energy that was once scattered begins to collect. Calm arises without effort. Presence deepens without force. Stability appears without control. This clarity does not come from adding something new, but from releasing what no longer needs to be carried. From seeing clearly what has been shaping you all along. From recognizing that the energy you move through, life with, is created moment by moment through your relationship with your inner world. Conscious breathing clears emotional and mental heaviness by returning attention, tough bodyware. Energy actually moves. Most people live almost entirely in their thoughts, unaware that shallow, unconscious breathing keeps the nervous system in a constant state of tension. When the breath is tight or rushed, the body receives a signal of danger. Even in calm moments, this signal accumulates as unease, fatigue, and inner pressure, slowly clouding the aura without obvious cause. Breath is the bridge between what you feel and how you function. You cannot think your way into calm if the breath remains restricted. The moment the breath slows, the body begins to soften naturally. Muscles release. The heart rate steadies. The mind loses urgency. This is not imagination. It is the body responding to safety in this state. Emotional weight that was being held unconsciously can finally loosen. Many emotions are stored not because they are overwhelming, but because they were never allowed to move. A breath held during stress. A sigh suppressed. A moment when chest tightened and never fully released. Over time, these incomplete breaths become patterns. Conscious breathing completes what was interrupted. Each full inhale creates space. Each slow exhale invites release. Without force, the body begins to clear old residue. Mental heaviness follows the same pattern. Thoughts feed on tension. A tense body creates a restless mind. As breathing becomes steady and deliberate, the mind slows in its own. Thoughts lose sharpness. They pass instead of colliding. The space between thoughts is not emptiness, is clarity. In clarity, energy is no longer wasted maintaining inner strain. The aura lightens because less effort is used. To hold tension together. Conscious breathing restores presence. Presence is clean energy. When attention rests fully in the breath, it is no longer scattered across regret or worry. The past, the future quiets. The body returns to now where life actually unfolds. This return is deeply cleansing, because much emotional heaviness comes from living everywhere except the present moment. Breathing anchors awareness. Awareness dissolves accumulation. There is no need to force the breath. Gentle attention is enough. Forcing creates new tension. Allowing creates flow. Even brief moments of noticing the inhale and exhale interrupt hours of unconscious strain. Over time, this interruption the body learns it does not need to hold itself so tightly. Energy begins to move rather than stagnate. As breathing becomes conscious, reactions soften. You respond instead of react. This alone clears a large amount of energetic weight. Reactivity contracts the breath. Responsiveness expands it. Each time you pause and breathe before acting, you clean the space from which action arises. The result is not passivity, but precision. You move with less waste and more alignment. A clear aura does not come from dramatic practices. It comes from consistency in small acts of awareness. Conscious breathing is one of the simplest and most powerful of these acts. It works because it meets the body where it is without asking it to become something else. It respects the intelligence of the nervous system. It allows emotions to move without analysis. It quiets the mind without suppression. With each breath, energy returns to its natural rhythm. Tension releases layer by layer, and the inner atmosphere becomes calmer, lighter, and more spacious, revealing that clarity was never missing, only covered by the habit of breathing without awareness. Unfelt emotions settle and drain your energy in ways most people never notice. Emotions are not problems to be fixed, and they are not weaknesses to be avoided. They are signals, messages, from your inner self, showing what needs attention. Every emotion that is ignored, suppressed, or denied becomes a stored energy. It does not disappear simply because you choose not to feel it. Over time, this stored energy creates heaviness in the mind, tension in the body, and darkness in the aura. Even when life appears normal on the surface, many people live with emotional residue from years ago without realizing its influence. A moment of disappointment that was brushed aside, a frustration that was swallowed, a sadness that was ignored. All of these become layers beneath the surface. These layers are subtle, but they are powerful. They shape your reactions, influence your thoughts, and subtly guide your decisions. You may feel irritable without reason, anxious without cause, or drained even after rest. The source is often not the external world, but the energy that remains trapped inside, waiting for release. Suppressing emotions often comes from fear or conditioning. Society teaches that certain feelings are inappropriate or that expressing them is dangerous. You learn to hide anger, to push aside grief, to deny fear. In the moment, suppression feels like protection. You avoid conflict, maintain appearances, or convince yourself you are strong. But body remembers. The nervous system stores the tension. The mind repeats the story, and the aura, which is a reflection of all accumulated energy, grows dense and heavy over time. Allowing emotions to be fully felt is not the same as acting on them recklessly. Feeling is internal, intimate, and controlled. It is the process of observing what arises in the body and mind without judgment. A tightness in the chest, a lump in the throat, a sudden heat in the face. These are sensations, not threats. When you consciously notice them, they begin to move rather than stagnate. Allowing emotions to flow completes their natural cycle. When an emotion completes its cycle, it no longer needs to linger. An energy that was trapped is released back into life. Anger, sadness, fear, jealousy, grief. All of these are natural and necessary. None are inherently negative. Their danger lies only in suppression. When denied, they cluster and solidify. They create subtle resistance in your energy field. They affect how you think, how you sleep, how you interact, and how others experience your presence. You may feel heavy, restless, or disconnected. And the keynote 3, allowing emotions to flow and clearing emotional residual source, is often invisible. The accumulated weight of unfelt emotion clouds clarity, creativity. The process of releasing emotion is not complicated, but it requires courage. It requires noticing without distraction, allowing without judgment, and surrendering without control. You do not need to solve or analyze the emotion. You only need to witness it, acknowledge it, and let it move. Tears, sighs, shaking, or simple stillness can all be part of this release. Each time you allow an emotion to complete its natural cycle, you lift a layer of weight, restore energy flow, and create more space within yourself. Emotional energy that is released has a direct effect on the aura. The aura becomes lighter, brighter, and more fluid. Reactions that were automatic begin to soften. Clarity returns to thought. Presence becomes easier to sustain. You no longer carry the invisible weight of unfinished emotional. Life begins to feel less heavy. Not because circumstances change, but because the energy you carry is cleaner, freer, and aligned with your true self. Energy is not lost when emotions are felt. In fact, it is restored. The body and mind were never depleted by feeling. They were depleted by suppression. Release is not weakness. It is restoration. The moment you allow a long-held emotion to move, you reconnect with your vitality. Your aura reflects this shift immediately. It becomes responsive instead of reactive, light instead of dense, and alive instead of stagnant. This clarity allows energy to rise naturally, without force, and without the need to chase or manufacture it artificially. Mental noise weakens clarity and vitality in ways that are often invisible but deeply felt. The mind has a tendency to replay, predict, compare, and analyze endlessly. Most people are unaware of how much energy is spent on thoughts that do not serve them. Every repeated worry, every imagined scenario, every critical judgment creates friction in the nervous system. This friction translates directly into the aura, clouding energy, reducing presence, and leaving the body feeling heavier than it should. Mental noise is subtle, but it shapes your entire experience of life. Thoughts themselves are not the problem. It is the unawareness and attachment to them that create disturbance. A single thought is like a ripple in water, harmless and brief. But when the mind latches onto that ripple, feeding it, expanding it, chasing it across hours or even days, it becomes a wave that crashes repeatedly. This wave consumes energy that could otherwise support focus, clarity, and vitality. Mental noise is the accumulation of countless ripples that have never been observed and allowed to settle. The mind loves to create stories about the past and future. It replays mistakes, relives awkward moments, or imagines scenarios that may never happen. These stories feel urgent because the mind treats them as real, but they exist entirely in imagination. When energy is tied up in imagined realities, there is less available for the present moment where life actually the aura becomes burdened by energy spent on illusions and clarity diminishes, because the inner field is crowded with thought patterns rather than open space. Comparison is anotherlia of mental noise that silently drains vitality. Observing others through judgment or envy automatically creates resistance within. You may admire someone, feel inspired momentarily, but then the mind often drifts into criticism or these loops repeat endlessly, generating tension that does not belong to the present. The mental chatter, multi-pleasant energy leaks away without notice. A cluttered mind equals a cluttered aura. The clarity needed to respond effectively to life begins to fade. Quieting the mind does not require fighting thoughts or suppressing them. Suppression only adds tension and weight. Instead, it is about observing as they arise and letting them pass without attachment. When a thought is no longer treated as an urgent command, energy is no longer drawn into its orbit. Awareness itself creates space. Space allows energy to circulate freely, restoring the natural rhythm of Keynote 4, reducing mental noise for clarity and vitality. This is one of the most powerful ways to clear the aura because it addresses the source of accumulate mental clutter directly. The practice of stepping back from mental noise is both simple and profound. It requires consistent attention and patience. Even a few moments of noticing that the mind is busy and choosing not to follow every thread interrupts long-standing. Over time, this creates a foundation of inner calm that extends into every moment. The aura begins to reflect this calmness. Reactions that were once automatic soften. Emotional turbulence and energy becomes more stable. Presence returns naturally without force because the internal environment has been cleared of unnecessary friction. Energy that was previously tied up in worry, judgment, or repetitive thinking becomes available again. Creativity flows more easy. Decisions are clearer and the body itself feels lighter. The subtle tension in shoulders, chest, or jaw relaxes as the nervous system senses that less energy is being drained by internal noise. The mind, once crowded with thoughts that repeat endlessly, now has room to rest. And this rest shows up as a lighter, brighter aura. Clarity and vitality are restored not by adding effort but by removing interference, allowing energy to rise naturally and continuously and letting presence deepen without obstruction. Alignment between intention and action restores inner power because Ingi follows coherence. When what you think, feel, and do are in harmony, your presence becomes magnetic, effortless, and grounded. Most people expend tremendous energy living out of alignment without realizing it. They say one thing while thinking another, act in ways that contradict their values, or chase goals that feel compelling externally but hollow internally. This misalignment scatters energy, weakens the aura, and leaves the body and mind fatigued. Even when life pursues full from the outside, intentions are like the blueprint of your inner world. They reflect what you truly value, what you wish to cultivate, and the quality of energy you want to carry. Actions are the tangible expressions of that blueprint. When intention and action match, energy flows freely. The mind does not have to compensate, the heart does not have to defend, and the body does not have to tighten. Every action becomes a declaration of coherence. And coherence itself is a form of power because it requires no extra effort to maintain. It is naturally aligned. Misalignment, by contrast, creates invisible resistance. A smile that feels forced, words that contradict belief, decisions motivated by fear or expectation rather than clarity. All of these act like leaks in a container of energy. You work hard, but vitality does not rise. You strive, but aura remains heavy. You achieve, but the feeling of satisfaction is fleeting. Energy is being spent on maintaining appearances or satisfying external pressures rather than being channeled toward authentic purpose. This is why many people feel drained despite accomplishing goals that should bring joy. Recognizing misalignment begins with awareness. You must notice where your actions do not reflect your true intentions. This is often subtle, appearing as hesitation, discomfort, or distraction. These signals are they are indicators of energy being blocked. When you pay attention, the invisible friction becomes visible, giving you the opportunity to redirect energy consciously. The moment you begin to act in accordance with your intention, energy that was scattered begins to gather, and the aura reflects this coherence as brightness and steadiness. The process of alignment also requires courage. It may involve saying no to what does not serve you, stepping away from expectations imposed by others, or choosing paths that feel uncertain but authentic. Each act of alignment reinforces energy flow because it eliminates the resistance that comes from compromise or contradiction. Your inner world begins to feel lighter, freer, and more capable. And this clarity shows up in the way you move through life. Energy that once leaked through misalignment is now directed and potent. When alignment becomes consistent, the body, mind, and emotions, keynote 5, aligning intention and action to restore inner power, begin to harmonize. Decisions feel easier, reactions are softer, and the sense of being present deepens. Life no longer feels like a constant battle between what is and what should be. Thora, previously fragmented by conflicting energies, becomes integrated. Energy that was once scattered across obligations, fears, and contradictions is now concentrated and radiant. Presence becomes more noticeable to yourself and others because alignment carries a resonance that cannot be faked. Alignment is not about perfection. It is about noticing and correcting where energy is lost. It is about choosing what truly matters and letting go of what drains vitality. Each small act of alignment compounds over time, restoring the inner power that had been dissipated by years of unconscious compromise. Energy resists naturally when coherence is established. The aura brightens because there is no longer friction between thought, emotion, and action. Vitality returns because energy that was once leaking is now flowing seamlessly through the body and mind, creating strength, clarity, and a sense of effortless presence that permeates every aspect of life. Energy that is free from distraction and internal clutter allows life to move with ease, revealing that true power is not in control but in alignment with the natural flow of your inner and outer world. Most people expend enormous amounts of energy resisting what resisting to force outcomes or attempting to control circumstances beyond their influence. This resistance is subtle, often invisible, but it accumulates as tension, fatigue, and a sense of heaviness in the aura. The more you struggle against what is, the more scattered and dense your energy becomes, leaving less available for creativity, presence, and vitality. Clarity emerges when you pause long enough to notice where your energy is being spent unnecessarily. Every thought of worry about the future, every judgment about the past, every comparison with others takes energy away from the present moment, which is the only space where life and action actually exist. Awareness of this energy leakage is the first step toward reclaiming your vitality. The act of noticing does not require effort. It simply redirects attention back to what is real and immediate, allowing the body and mind to release accumulated tension. Distraction is one of the most common ways energy is. When attention is constantly pulled in multiple directions, mental, emotional, and physical resources are scattered. This scattered energy clouds the aura, making it difficult to feel centered or grounded. The mind becomes noisy, the emotions reactive, and the body tense. Life feels heavier, not because of external events, but because energy is fragmented and unable to circulate freely. Focus is the antidote bot, not in a forced or rigid way. Focus arises naturally when the internal clutter is acknowledged and released, and attention is intentionally returned to the present. Releasing resistance involves allowing rather than pushing. Allowing does not mean passivity. It means meeting reality without adding unnecessary struggle. When you stop forcing outcomes, arguing with circumstances, or resisting the natural pace of events, energy is freed up. Tension held in the muscles relaxes. The nervous system calms and clarity of thought emerges. The aura, which had been weighted with struggle, begins to lighten. This is why practices like meditation, conscious breathing, and mindful presence are powerful. They teach the mind and body to stop resisting what is, and instead align with what can be influenced. Consistency in these practices amplifies the effect. Energy that is repeatedly returned to the present moment becomes stronger, more coherent, and more resilient. Repeat awareness trains the nervous system to release habitual tension automatically. Each moment of focused attention, each breath observed, each thought allowed to pass without attachment contributes to clearing the invisible debris that clouds vitality. Keynote 6. Freeing energy by releasing resistance and distraction. Aura gradually becomes lighter, brighter, and more responsive because internal friction is reduced and energy is flowing naturally rather than being blocked by resistance. The clarity gained through this process transforms how life is experienced. Situations that once felt overwhelming or chaotic become choices that seemed confusing become easier because your perception is no longer clouded by noisy tension. Emotional responses soften because energy is not trapped in cycles of resistance. Physical tension dissolves as the body learns to operate without the constant strain of trying to control or fix everything. Energy that was once scattered through fear, impatience, or attachment now consolidates into presence and vitality. Inner alignment also affects external interactions. When your energy is coherent, your aura radiates stability and clarity, influencing the way others respond to you. People feel your presence. Situations shift more smoothly and opportunities align more naturally because your energy is no longer fragmented. Life responds differently not because the external world changes, but because the energy you bring into every moment is clear, focused, and aligned with your true self. This is the power of clearing internal clutter. It allows energy to rise effortlessly, vitality to increase, and the aura to shine naturally without forcing or manipulating anything. When we step back and look at the journey of cleansing our aura and raising our energy, a clear pattern emerges. It is not about adding more effort, techniques, or external practices. It is about removing what blocks our natural flow. Every thought we notice, every emotion will allow, every breath we take with awareness, every moment we realign intention with action, and every distraction we release contributes to the clearing of our inner field. The aura, which reflects our internal state, becomes lighter, brighter, and more coherent. As a result, energy rises not because we chase it, but because we create the space for it to move freely. Life responds, not because circumstance overnight, but because the energy we carry changes first. When the mind is calm, the body is relaxed, and the emotions are allowed to flow. Clarity naturally returns. Alignment between intention and action strengthens presence, focus, and vitality, while letting go of resistance, disinvestation, and scattered energy. Ultimately, raising our energy is a process of awareness, release, and alignment. It is a practice that teaches patience, self, and consistency. Final thoughts on how to maintain a clean aura. The moment we begin to care for the subtle layers of thought, emotion, and action that shape our internal life itself begins to feel lighter, easier, and more responsive. Aura, once burdened with unprocessed energy, now shines as a reflection of our inner clarity and coherence, inviting not only vitality, but also a sense of effortless presence that touches everything we